Hello there, I'm Colonel Failure and this is Train Fever. Last time around we finished off our original loop and then we watched our original loop. It's mostly working at the moment. Well, I mean, it's working in a practical sense. It's not quite paying for itself just yet. And I mean, there's a couple of reasons this is likely to be the case. I mean, first and foremost, it needs some bedding in time because these are new services that we've set up. And secondly, I think that because we're running only in one direction, there may be perhaps people jumping on board trains who are going around the entire loop and basically getting off the station that they got onto, the station before they got on. That's possible, but to be honest, it's all about driving up demand for those kind of interstitial services. So what I'm going to try and do next is expand that interest, and in order to do that, we're going to talk about double tracking, which is going to be expensive. Now, obviously, if I'm going to do the double tracking, now is the time to make any last adjustments to the actual layout of the track. How are you carrying there, my friend? See, maxed out. Lovely. So, you know, for example, this kind of bodged together, why the heck are you so bendy bit of track here? This would be a nice time to sort that out. Equally, do we need a bridge that is quite as hefty as the one we've got going on here? It might be, you know, beneficial to us to actually relay the track from here on and go through the mountain rather than, well, it's hardly a mountain, it's a hill, isn't it? Go through the hill and save some cash on those costs. These are the kinds of considerations that we're going to make. And then, of course, you've got to factor in that we've got to relay stations so that they can be double tracked, double the size of stations. That's not going to be cheap. We've got some compulsory purchasing needed, exiting stations. This is just the first station. I imagine that story is going to be true at many of them. So that's what's coming up. The question is, how am I going to get on with that? Because there are two opportunities here. I mean, we could either try and go around the entire track and then set up the kind of the antithesis loop, or we could do it in small sections like we've done when we built the original loop. And I think, you know, I mean, the smart money's on doing it that way. So, for example, I could do a Bromyard to Bishop's Waltham loop section first, and then run a train service between the two. That would pay for itself, possibly bring in a little bit more money. Well, I think almost definitely bring in a little bit more money, and gradually work our way round in that fashion. It's a long and laborious way of doing things, but given that I'm not absolutely, you know, drowning in cash, I think it's probably the best way to go. I've thought about adding more services to this loop that we've got going at the moment. I mean, you know, that he's just left and we've got 90 passengers waiting here, and the next train isn't due for however long it's going to take him to get to the station, and he's full up and he's not going to unload everyone, and he's just left us 54 waiting. You see what I'm driving at. You know, we've got plenty of passengers waiting. Right, I think what we shall do first, look at these idiots building right alongside the train track, just on the off chance I decided I wanted to expand it. I think this is what we'll do first. I think we will go kind of place to place. So first things first, let's pause here and let's wreck everyone's day, because I'm pretty certain that just double tracking down the side of this station is not going to turn it into a double tracked station. I mean, if I'm wrong, then that's glorious, but I don't think I'm wrong. I don't think this is a station here. Does anybody know for certain? Well, the easiest way to find out will be to complete... Okay, yeah, it costs us almost nothing to try this out. So let's continue our double track odyssey around here. Bearing in mind, of course, that we actually need to switch sides, because this track is actually going to be the inside or the outside, depending on how you look at it, it's going to be platform 2 along here. So let's try it. This is going to be the easiest way to find out if I need to buy an entire new station, which comes with major problems, not least of all that the bulldozer will need to be brought out in order to get rid of houses that are improperly placed, and that's far from ideal. Right, we will stick with double track where it's going to stay straight, and then I think we'll adjust it on that last curve. So far so good. Right, so if I was going to change anything, it would be this curve here. So let's get rid of it entirely, because we're not talking about the most expensive thing to replace ever. And then let's see where we get up to, shall we? So, I mean, all of this is, you know, this is just what it's going to take to complete our first loop. Right, where have you taken that? You've taken an uncanny kind of outward bend there. That is not exactly what I would have chosen you to do. Where are you colliding? Presumably with this piece of track. Right, okay. Now let's get rid of that. Let's do the other side. And then see about laying one around the inside. Now, obviously, some of these curves are going to lead to, yeah, I mean, a decreased top speed for trains coming round. But on station approaches, trains are usually slowing down anyway. Take it as far as there, and then link that sucker up. Okay, good. Right, so theoretically that's 2 multi-platform stations, except I don't think it's going to work, because they come through here on one side of the track, as ably demonstrated here, but then once they get to this station there is no way for them to continue. So what I'm going to need to do is offer a quick points change there. There we go, that'll do. Alright, grand. That's done. So if we unpause now, off you jolly well go. And then what we'll do is we'll buy a train and see if we can send it point to point on the main line. If this is, I mean, you know, the investment in those extra bits of track to turn those into double track stations is, I mean, you know, we're talking about 30-40 grand each time. Not cheap, but equally not the end of the world if it ends up not being the case. Let's take that just a little bit further. Right, where shall I put my depot? So you're going around there. So I'm going to put the depot in such a way that the train has no choice but to run on the side of the track that I want it to. There you go. It's not going to spend crazy. Okay, right, new route. And we will go from Bromyard to Bishop's Waltham. Okay, right, now let's have a look on where it's... Yes, it's got not given me any indication there of which way it wants to go. So we're going to call this the test run. Test run. We'll buy ourselves a train, because the good news is, even if this doesn't work, I can put the train into service on the loop immediately. I have set this on the right side of the line, haven't I? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. Buy a train. I want consolidation. And 3 of these bad boys, please. Thank you. Right, and then let's put this on test run. There you go. Unable to find a path to stop. There you go. That answers that question. Alright, so this is not a double-tracked station. This is just an extra piece of track running down the side of the station. Oh, bum. Okay, so that's going to be pricey to resolve, because it means digging up stations and then hoping that we can relay another station in there without it being, you know, the most expensive thing on the face of the planet. And I did a test case not so long ago up at one of the busier stations, and the cost of the new station ended up being over $1 million. That's in itself no big deal, because we will make that kind of money eventually, but at present, in fact, that's going to cause trouble for him too, isn't it? He's not going to be able to stop either. So we ought to change this station first, since this is actually active on the loops. There you go, there we go, no path. Right. Pause, please. Okay, well that's disturbing. So it looks like I've developed some kind of a crash bug where when trying to delete a station, the game will actually stop working entirely, leading to something of a crash to desktop scenario. Now this is going to be problematic when it comes to replacing stations. However, I think I've found a workaround. Or certainly I think I might have a causal factor to take into consideration, but I'll show you that in a moment and we'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, then I just got lucky. So I've replaced one station. Obviously this has meant that I've reverted back, and normally I would start recording again, but this time around I thought it might be valuable to actually show you what I did to stop it crashing. Interesting, because you know, having read around a bit, a lot of people are seeing station-related crashes, and not a lot of people have got an answer as to why that's happening. So it shouldn't be PC spec related, because certainly this PC can handle just about everything that's thrown at it. So that will mean that instead it's going to be relating to something that the game is trying to do while you're trying to delete the station. This is my thinking. Okay, right. Anyway, let's get this connected up, and then when I double track the next station, you can evaluate for yourself. And as mentioned, I don't know, actually, I've started the end of the start of this video already a couple of times, so maybe it's in this version, maybe it's not. What I was going to say is what we're looking at in this kind of double tracking is building the ultimate version of the track, right? So this is we're not going to muck around with this track anymore after this point. This is the version that is going to be eventually upgraded to support high-speed services. So if there are, you know, minor problems with it, this is the time to fix them, or worse still, major problems. You know, and there's a couple of track bits that I can see obvious room for improvement. So we're going to do that anyway. Right, we take that round there. Only bleeds off a little bit of speed. Actually, this is better than last time around. It's also more expensive than last time around, but you know, you can't have it all. So let's run that round there, and then I shall show you my thinking. What are you colliding with? You shouldn't be colliding with anything. Okay. Maybe if we run a little bit more track out at the end of there. Because that's taking a really nice angle. There we go. Ah, now it's bleeding off a little bit more speed. That's less than ideal, isn't it? Maybe if I decrease this straight section here. Now, it's not too big of a deal if trains have to slow down in order to get into the station, because they're going to be doing that anyway. The loop is going to run in such a way that all trains stop at all stations, all times. Why are you giving me another terrain alignment collision there? I'm double tracking you. Alright, well let's take you that far. And then let's extend that out there. Thusly. And then do the thing. There we go. Excellent. Right, okay, so this train here, I think, was causing the problem. Okay, so this is the station that I've just replaced. As you can see, happily double tracked. Previously, every time I deleted it, and I did this 3 or 4 times, every time it was deleted, it would crash the game. And I was doing that at the point where that train had just left the station. And herein, I think, is one of the maybe several causal factors. Now, you know, if you try and place a signal, hold on, where are we? Trying to place a signal. Right, so if I were to try and put a signal here, it would tell me there's a vehicle in the way. There's no such warning when you try and delete a station, right? So, you know, effectively the train could still be at the station. Actually, no, you probably couldn't get away with that. But certainly if the train had just left, you could delete the station, no questions asked. And so what I did was I placed this signal right here. And I kept doing the click to place it up until the game accepted it, at which point I knew that the train had cleared the sphere of influence of that particular section of track. At which point I deleted the station and there wasn't a problem. I mean, it was expensive, but you know, that's an expensive issue. That's not a game is crashing on me problem there. So maybe that'll work, and we're going to find out imminently as I do the same thing on this one. Is this going to be cheap to replace? That's the question. Answers on a postcard. I think probably not, but I've got plenty of loan space about it. I'm going to save it here, just purely because that's the prudent thing to do since we've had it partially working. Right, okay, back it up, get me a station here, 2-track, onto, where's the actual link? That's the place. Terrain, alignment, collision with this little thing right here, which is going to cost me 822 grand to delete. Alright, time to get myself paid a little there. Because I want to get this rolling. I had high hopes when I first started recording this episode. I thought, yeah, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do the whole of the double track the whole thing, and then we'll be running trains in both directions. It'll be fantastic. Everything's going to look amazing. There's going to be trains as far as the eye can see. Yeah, okay, so that was clearly excessive optimism on my part. But hey, if that's the worst crime I'm guilty of, I'll take it. Okay, cool. So we're now double tracked in both places. Oh, yes, the other thing I did, I ungrouped the station. That might also have been so I ungrouped the station and the bus stop that was waiting there. Now, obviously, when you've got no passengers waiting, maybe that's not an issue. But when you've got passengers waiting, maybe it is. So there you go. The two things. Okay, so that time we crashed because I tried to regroup this station. So ungrouping before deleting, good shout. Trying to regroup it afterwards, crashed the game, and I suspect it'll do it again. So my new safety tip to myself is going to be no grouping. Interesting. I mean, these kinds of things, bugs of this nature come up for a variety of reasons. And it's all a case of if you can figure out what's causing it and therefore make yourself immune to the causes of the problem, then do that. I mean, I could spend all day bemoaning the fact that these problems existed, but to be honest, I just want to carry on playing the game. So, okay, right. So hopefully, I've now got this station laid as well, so hopefully I'm now in a position to actually run my new service back and forth between these two stations, which will, I'm thinking, drive a little demand. I'm still going to stick signals everywhere, running both up and down each line, because I want to make sure that we've got effective spacing going on. And frankly, I'm going to duplicate the spacing in both directions for when we are running the loop both ways. Which we won't be doing for a while, because it's stupidly expensive, and I've borrowed the best part of £2 million in order to get this one running. But, you know, let's think ahead, people. Let's look to the future. So let's get things running again and hope we don't crash. Yes, I think it very much looks like you're crashing at the point at which the game gets a bit confused with what the hell you just did. So, providing you can avoid that, it will continue running effortlessly. That's what I'm going to say. That's my statement of the thing is working, right? So let's bang an engine shed on there, and buy ourselves a new friend. Actually, before I do that, let's save it again. You know, up to now I've been kind of annoyed at how often it auto-saves, but now I'm finding it doesn't auto-save often enough. Right, good, there we go. Right, yep, still running, good, smashing. Right, buy a train. Actually, not got enough to buy a train. I need more services to come into the station or take out a bigger loan. Well, I've been mucking about with this for long enough now, I'm just going to take out a bigger loan. Hell, if I can't afford to pay it back, then, you know, we're pretty doomed anyway. 1, 2, 3 of those. Thank you very much. Then give it a line to run on. I think the test line probably got, yeah, test line bought it in the crash. That's okay. It's okay. We crash, so we learn. Bromyard and Bishop's Waltham. Now, I shouldn't need to do anything complicated with points here because we'll just leave that as line 1. There's no sense in renaming it right now because this train has no choice but to go onto the correct track. So let's set it on there. There we go. I might give it a more glamorous name if it ends up being something that stays in service for a suitable period of time. Okay, splendid. Right, so they're going to continue running. The other thing that I noticed, and again, I don't know if I made mention of it in the video that survived or not, but when you are replacing your vehicle, make sure you include the coaches as well. Otherwise, you just replace it with a train on its own. I found that out to my cost. Found a train that had basically dumped all of its passenger carrying responsibility and was happily just doing a tour of the railroad. Not ideal. So obviously, having deleted both these two stations, it's going to take a little while for demand to build back up again. Hopefully that won't take too long. And we've got, you know, significant duplication of effort going from Bromyard to Bishop's Waltham, but coming back in the opposite direction, that's a service that's not currently being fulfilled. So we should make some money off that. That's my hope. And we've got a nice little funky bridge going on there. At some point, I'll dedicate some time to kind of flattening out old bits of lines so that we end up with something that looks nice, as well as is functionally viable. But for now, I just want to get it functionally viable, you know? My aspirations for having the loop running in both directions in this video were sorely misplaced, and I need that to happen in order to demonstrate that it's profitable enough to actually loop up the other tracks that we've got, because they're making a bit of cash on themselves right now, and probably don't need me interfering with them. Train 8 has got 6 whole passengers on board, and you've got no whole passengers on board. Excellent. There we go. So Bromyard Grand Central is now the bus stop outside the station. I daren't try linking the two together, which is a real disappointment, because the game doesn't like that. It might be due to the passengers actually waiting at the stop, and that causing some kind of calculation-based complexity. But I didn't write the thing, so I don't know how it ticks. So I'm gonna leave it to just work. Oh God, this is going to be horrifically expensive to replace. Okay, right. I'm going to leave this running for a little while, and hopefully we'll see some progress on line profitability. I definitely need to add some more trains, I think, to the loop. There are many kind of wide, empty sections. Why are you going there? That's the different line you fall. Yeah, there are a lot of kind of wide open sections right now, and those two have bunched up. That's interesting. That's not something I expected. I think what I'll do is I'll put some signals in here as soon as this is cleared. Obviously, we've got another set of signals just before the bridge, but I don't want anybody waiting who doesn't need to be waiting. Which is a reasonable thing to say. And we'll do it here. No, we won't do it there. We'll do it here. so that we don't block the road. Actually, you've put it in a place that it's almost certain to block the road. Oh well, fair enough. Right, that will wrap it up for this week, today, or whenever it is I put up the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully my experience with the game crashing has provided some help for... Where are you going? Freeze. Yeah. What are you playing at? Turn around. Off you go. Go on. Clear off. I do beg your pardon. Chap running in the wrong direction there. Now I wonder if there's another one ahead of him. Not at present. Interesting. Yeah. There's bound to be some oddities as a result of deleting stations and changing tracks and all of this kind of stuff and setting up the loop in the first place. You know, I think that it's not unreasonable to expect this to play out a little weirdly for a while. So tune in so you can see just how weirdly weird gets. Look at this chap. 15 people waiting for the Maryport 2 bus service, which basically just does a loop around the station. That's fun. Okay, tune in next time where there'll be more of the same and hopefully fewer crashes. I've been Colonel Failure. Please leave a like and subscribe if you've not done so already. I'll catch you very soon. Cheerio.